Clemmons, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and you are listening to Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, on this Tuesday, October 24th. Beautiful day in Lubbock, Texas. We're coming to you right here from the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios and live on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio and 987radio.com and the Live 365 app. If you guys want to get the app, if you can't get the radio, if your radio won't stretch or you need to go out in the barn and feed the horses or you got to do something like that, you can get Live 365 app on your phone, and then you can just search for Walk by Faith Radio and you can catch the show anywhere on your phone. So if you want to listen to it that way, that is a way to do it right there. So, or you can always watch us every night, Monday through Friday. Unless we have a technical difficulty, we'll be on Facebook at the Rock Health and Wellness Centers. We'll be on YouTube at Health from the Rock, and we will be on X, Dr. Jason Clemmons, I believe. Let me just look that up. I never do know for sure where we're going live on that, so let me see. Jason Clemmons DC. It's at Jason Clemmons DC is our formerly known as Twitter, but now our X feed right there. And we are live right there on that as well. So you could get us on any of those shows on social media platforms. And we come to you every night from 6 to 7, right after Pratt on Texas on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio. And then we try to just bring you a show for health. And it's not sophisticated. I'm the only one here. I haven't got me a production team yet. So yes, I know it's not all that fabulous, but it's the content can help you be better. And so I'm going to keep working on that so that we bring you as good a show as possible. And I'm here by myself. I'm producing it. I'm running it. So when it glitches, it's all me. I'm the one that's messing it all up. So I apologize when that happens. But we called it Life because we're just trying to share life with you. We're just trying to share health and wellness with you so that you can live a better life. That's what the show's all about, really. And we've got some people that have started care with us in the office that are listening to the show. I've been texting back and forth with some people about some questions that they had that aren't even patients of the office. I'll be glad to visit with you wherever you are, anywhere on the planet. If you want to learn, if you want my knowledge on health, you got it. So you can just reach out to us. We have a text line, which is our office phone, which is 806-794-0400. And you could reach out to us anytime and text us. We were texting till at 10 o'clock last night while we were watching the Rangers and Astros play. And just sharing, just trying to get in touch with some of the people who've reached out to us. And so you can text us anytime, day or night. You will never bother me. If you're a patient of mine and you want to reach out to me day or night, you will never bother me. One of the things I learned a long time ago is I don't give you the authority to bother me. So you're free. You can't bother me. If you want to send me, if you got a question about your health, if you got a question that you want covered, then reach out to us. And if you want to reach us like Dr. Lewis has done a few times over the last few days from Roswell, New Mexico, you can reach us on the Facebook page or the YouTube page or the Twitter page, X. So I need to just get to where I call it X and everybody understands that they've transferred on, like they moved along right there. So if you need us, you can get to us. And if you want to live a better life and I can help you, then reach out to me. I'd be glad to do that. Last night's show was great. We got into some Bible teaching last night and as it pertained to health and wellness, and we got into Matthew 9:9 and went on down to Matthew 9:12, where Jesus was saying, hey, the healthy don't need a doctor. And we were trying to break down that a little bit about, hey, I agree with Jesus on that deal. That's big of me, right? Yeah. But what the teaching right there is what we wanted to talk about last night was the idea that what's the definition of the healthy, right? What are some of the things that might be going on inside your body that you don't know about? And what are some of the things that might cause you to be sick on the inside that you don't know you're sick on the inside, right? So I agree with the teaching that if you're healthy, you don't need a doctor. But I would just present for the consideration, what's that definition, right? What is that definition of health? And do you really need um, if you just tighten down that definition a little bit, you might understand where how you feel is a bad indicator of how you are functioning. That's not the that's not the tell-all sign. There could be things happening inside. Just for an instance, if you go to the medical doctor and you get your blood work done and your cholesterol is high, right? The medical doctor is going to say, "Hey, boy, you better get on this statin drug," right? Well, you say, "Well, I feel fine. Why do I need to do that?" Or you might have had a stent in your heart, and they say you need to take this Plavix for the rest of your life, and you're like, "But I feel fine," and they're like, "Yeah, but I'm telling you, it might help you." Or they might say something like you probably should take a baby aspirin every day, right? What I'm saying, I'm just using those examples to say, hey, look, it happens all the time when we actually feel fine, but there could be things going on underneath. And I don't necessarily agree with those opinions, but that's not my scope of practice. That's not what we're all about. We're about health and wellness, right? And health and wellness to us is based on the idea of the subluxation, interference in your nervous system. And that's what that teaching last night was all about, was when what the pastor was covering on Sunday was about shine your light bright into the world, right? And that's exactly what this show's about, is to shine your light bright into the world. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do, is help you. And we've broken down that word before. Sub is less than. Lux means light. And ATION is a place or a state of being, right? So you're in a state less than light. That's pretty simple when you're subluxated. And that subluxation is caused from physical, chemical, and mental emotional stress, right? We go about it every night. We talk about it lots of times. We go over it and over it. And so I thought tonight what we would get into is, first of all, I got a praise. I got and I've praised this same gal a few times on the show, but she's up to 25 pounds lost, right? Good for her. She started in our program. She went through our nutritional program. She works out with the Rock Fitness. She's been working out with with Kim, our trainer right there, for a long time. But she finally kind of dialed in some things with her health. And when she dialed it in, it's been super great for her. She's so fantastic. She's doing a great job. And so this morning she was telling the girls that she's down 25 pounds since she started. And all she started doing was just eating properly and exercising, taking her supplements, doing the healthy things. She gets adjusted and she's rocking life. And it's very inspiring when people like that, they come into your office, and sorry about that. When they come into your office and you get an opportunity to spend some time with those people and help them improve their life. And so she's excited. We're excited. Everything is rocking, and she's shining her light bright into the world. And I just wanted to say I was proud of her. I was proud of Kim for the work that she's doing in the nutrition part of our practice. And if you guys want a piece of that, just give us a call. If you want some help with that, give us a call and let us help you, because the stuff that we're doing, it will improve your life. And so that was the praise that I wanted to get into. And the other thing I wanted to spend some time talking about nutrition again tonight. And I wanted to spend some time talking about it in a manner that's a little bit different. So every night we kind of come at it a different way, right? We just try to approach this in as many different angles as we can, so that maybe that we can reach you in one form or fashion. Oh, by the way, before I forget, don't forget about our contest. It's going to the end of the month. And the contest is, can you guess how many Red Hots are in a 20-ounce bottle, which would represent a bottle of soda, right? So if you're new to the contest, I have patients often tell me, Doc, I just have one Coke a day, right? I just have one soda a day. How bad can that be for you? I just have one sandwich a day. I just have one cookie a day, right? Okay. The idea is the red hots represent some sort of pill that you take, a blood pressure pill, a birth control pill, or whatever. And one little tiny pill changes your physiology, right? So how many pills could you put in one soda? What would be the equivalent? If you drank a whole soda, that'd be the equivalent of drinking how many pills? And so the red hots represent the pill. If you guys are listening to it on the radio, go back and check it out on the Facebook page or YouTube or X, and you can see how many are in there. You can take a wild guess. You can count them up if you want. And then the winner gets a $50 gift certificate to Longhorn Steakhouse. So you got to send me a text. You got to send me a text, or you got to send in something on social media, make a comment in order to, and I'm not trying to get your phone number or whatever. It's just a contest, right? Just to see if you want it, if you want to win the prize, you got to participate in the contest. So that's the prize that we got going on right now. So what I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about the philosophy behind supplements and the philosophy of where you get your supplements and how much money you're spending on your supplements and whether or not we need supplements or we don't need supplements. There's lots of debate, right? There's lots of opinions. And like I've said multiple times on the show, whenever you're doing nutrition, there's 7 billion something people on the planet Earth. And you will get, if you start talking to people, you will get 7 billion different opinions on what you're supposed to eat. So I do not fight with people over what they're supposed to eat, nor do I act like I'm the expert of all experts on what you're supposed to eat. I don't think that anybody has cornered the market on it, because I think you can go to any part of the planet and you can find people who do all kinds of different models to try to see at how they're functioning in life. And to me, it all goes back to your why, right? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? I keep asking patients that all the time. What are you going to do with yourself when you get well? What are you going to do with your life when you don't have this irritating thing that's bothering you? What are you going to do with your life when you actually turn the corner and head back up the hill instead of heading downhill the whole time, right? And it doesn't matter what age you are. You can do that. You can start doing healthy things and start being healthy. So those are the first thing that you got to do is you have to develop your why. Because if you don't develop your why, then what happens when you lose the weight is like, so what? I lost the weight, but what difference does it make? So what? I got healthy, but what difference does it make? I can't really tell the difference. I can still drive that truck. I could drive that truck at 283 pounds, or I could drive that truck at 233 pounds, or I could drive that truck at 200 pounds. What difference does it make? I don't make any more money. I don't have any different family. I don't live in a better house. I don't drive a better car. Who cares? Like, what difference does it make? Right. And so, and that's a legitimate argument as far as I'm concerned. Is that could be really a true statement. If you haven't developed your why, and you don't really understand exactly why it's important for you to be healthy, you will find a void. And I think there's some biblical teaching in that as well. But you will find a void at the end. Once you get there, you'll be so disappointed with the end result that you'll be like, man, that was a waste of time. I should have just had a donut, right? So making sure that you develop your why drives you into the idea of trying to be healthier. And when you drive yourself into the idea of trying to be healthier, then you start to ask the question, is there a supplement that I should take? Is there something that I should take? And the concept, the idea, and that's what I told to one of the patients today was, I don't have a lab, so I don't know for sure, but they say that the broccoli of today is not the same broccoli that it was in the past because of the soil's not the same as it used to be, or whatever the genetic changes that we've made in the plants, whatever it might be, right? I don't know. I don't really know if that's true or false. And I also really don't know. And I know there may be studies out there. I think I've actually read some of them over the years, but I don't know. I didn't do the work, so I don't know for sure. Right? I have to trust somebody somewhere along the way to try to determine if that's a true statement. But what I have seen is that we are more than likely deficient in some nutrients. And if we're deficient in some nutrients, that will cause our body to not function as optimally as possible. So simple things as B vitamins, and that's where you get into that MHTFR and MTHFR. Yeah, the gene that might have a little bit of a twist to it that doesn't function properly, and there's testing for that. We get that done for you if you're interested in that. But that helps with how you're going to handle those B vitamins, and you may not be handling them properly because you may have that one specific gene mutation, and that could cause problems in the way that you handle your B vitamins, and you might not have any energy, right? So that's just one area right there. The other one that we talk a lot about is omega-3 fatty acids and fish oil. And so when you get into the omega-3 fatty acid part of it, and I'm not going to break down the biochemistry of omega-3 fatty acids tonight, but I just want to talk about the idea of the importance of omega-3 fatty acids and the importance as it relates to your health and wellness. Just that one particular thing that we can measure. And can we, number one, does it matter? Is there any evidence that your omega-3 ratio, your omega-6-3 ratio is important? Because we can measure your omega-6-3 ratio. I got some of them right here on my desk. These are the omega-6-3 results that are sitting right here on my desk. So the question becomes, is it important to have a low omega-6-3 ratio? Can you measure it? And then what do you do about it? Right? Because don't we all believe that what the real truth, the real honest truth is we do what we want to do? Right? We do what we believe will give us the most benefit, the most reward on a daily basis on the things that we do. We do what we feel like we want to do. I really think that's a true statement. Now, you may be doing it because you're forced to do it, and you're forced to do it, and then you do it because you know that whatever somebody's forcing you to do it is going to be harder than if you chose not to do it. But you still are making the best decision for yourself, right? Like if you don't come to work, you're going to get fired because someone's forcing you to come to work, right? Well, you may hate your job and you like said, I'm not doing it because I want to. I'm only doing it because they're forcing me to. And it's like, no, that's not true, because you're making that choice because you've determined that it's better for you not to get fired than it is for you to get fired. You've made that, even though there's an external source that's driving the whole process, there's an internal source of saying that you're doing it because you want to do it. Right? If you want to make your bed, you make your bed. If you want to take out the trash, you take out the trash. If you want to tell your spouse I love you, you tell them I love you. If you don't, you don't. Right? Okay. So you're like, Jason, what are you talking about? All right. What I'm talking about is, do you do what you want to do based on the advantage that it's going to give you? We all do the same thing, right? We do the things that we want to do based on the advantage that it's going to give us. And so I would present for consideration, if you're listening to the show, I would present for consideration, Dr. C, why do you keep pushing this idea of omega-3 fatty acids? Why is it that you keep talking about that? Well, the reason that I keep talking about that is because I've been given so much evidence. I've seen so much evidence that that's an important part of health, that it's become part of my lifestyle now, my daily activity, the things that I want to do to try to be healthy is omega-3 fatty acids. Like it's like every single day nearly. I take my fish oil. And if I need to increase my volume, then I'll increase my volume with the liquid fish oil. So I'll take a teaspoon of liquid, or I'll take 3 teaspoons. During COVID, I took 3 teaspoons of this, which is 9,000 milligrams of fish oil every day, right? It's like I'm still here. I didn't disappear. There's nothing wrong with me. I didn't turn into a fish. Like I don't have scales. There's nothing wrong with me. I took 9,000 milligrams of fish oil. And so I have patients all the time, and I asked them. I had one yesterday, matter of fact. He said, I'm having joint pain all over my body. And he said, and I said, are you taking your fish oil? And he said, yes. And I said, how much are you taking? And where did you get your fish oil from? And he was like, I don't know. My wife, she gets it somewhere, Walmart or something, wherever she gets it. I don't know where she gets it, but I just take 2 of them. And I'm like, okay, look here. You're not taking it. You're taking something that you think is good for you, and you have no idea whether or not it's good for you or not. And you're not breaking it down in any form or fashion, and you're not paying any attention to it with what you're doing, right? And then what is happening to you is that you're getting a result that is incongruent with the idea that fish oil is good. And you're getting a result and you're saying, Doc, I take my fish oil, but I still have joint pain. So why would I keep doing that? Right? Well, I'm gonna share that with you. That's what I want to get into that, and I want to say, hey, look, let's answer that question. Why would I keep doing it if it's not working for me? Right? Okay. First of all, can we make an argument? Is there anything that we could do to make an argument that says that the ratio between 6s and 3s is super important? Can we make an argument that too many omega-6s in the diet is a bad thing, and too many not enough omega-3s in the diet is a bad thing? Well, I'll just read one article right here. I just went to the National Library of Medicine, which, okay, I don't know what else you look at, but I just went right there. I Googled omega-6 and inflammation NIH. That's what I Googled. And I got a whole bunch of articles right here. And here's a article that's written in Open Heart in 2018, published online in 2018. Importance of maintaining a low omega-6-3 ratio for reducing inflammation. Okay, like whatever. There's a bunch of them out there. I just picked one, and it was the introduction is the consumption of seed oils high in omega-6 fatty acids contributes to low-grade inflammation, oxidative stress, endothelial dysfunction, and atherosclerosis. So it's talking about heart disease. So, and it's got all kinds of citations in it, right? So a high omega-6 diet will contribute to inflammation, oxidative stress. The lining of your blood vessels is the endothelial lining, right? The lining of your blood vessels, and in your gut lining, those things dysfunction, and atherosclerosis, meaning giving you coronary artery disease and heart disease, right? So the idea that too many omega-6s can cause inflammation in your body, they can lead to joint pain, decrease movement, stiffness, all that type of thing, which decreases the way that the brain functions, right? And then it goes on to talk about all of the mechanisms that happen when you increase those omega-6s, like you increase your COX expression in the aorta, converting arachidonic acid to pro-inflammatory eicosanoids. So those little chemicals inside your body, right, that increase your inflammation. This may explain why increased omega-6s can actually intake can actually lower arachidonic. Hang on. Apologize. I hope you guys, I don't know if you could see that or not. I'm getting calls tonight for some reason. So you increase the inflammatory chemicals in the body when you have a high amount of arachidonic acid, and that leads to downstream chemicals, and that leads to things that causes inflammation in the body. NF kappa B, pro-inflammatory cytokines, endothelial adhesion molecules, as well as chemokines, all those things inside the body that will break us down, all those things that cause really bad things to happen in our bodies when we have too many omega-6s and not enough omega-3s, right? So we could go through article after article after article, and I could stack them up. I could stack them up and stack them up and stack them up. And I bet you, if I gave you enough of those articles, you might buy into that idea that I want to control my 6:3 ratio. I want to make sure that my 6:3 ratio stays down low so that I can decrease those inflammatory processes that are going on inside my body, right? So let's just go ahead and agree. When we come back, we got the break coming up on the radio. So I'll give you guys just a second and then I'll be right back. Right. So on the Facebook page, right? So you there's no way I would think that over and over and over again, if we just kept saying it and we just kept saying it and we just kept saying it and we just kept showing you the science and we just kept telling you that, hey, the 6:3 ratio is important. The 6:3 ratio has a lot to do with how your body's functioning. The 6:3 ratio has a lot to do with heart disease and joint pain and arthritis and neuropathies and brain function and Alzheimer's disease. I was reading Dr. Perlmutter's book on the way um, this afternoon, different when I had a moment, and talking about the ketogenic diet and how the ketogenic diet helps us decrease the inflammation in our brain, right? And what is the ketogenic diet? We talked about that before. Um, and we're on the break from the radio, so I thought I'd just cover some of this stuff. The ketogenic diet is when your body quits using glucose for fuel and switches it over and starts burning your fat, right? That's what we're actually that's what we're doing with that ketogenic diet. So if you don't have enough glucose, then your body's going to switch it over. So that's what fasting does for us. Fasting gives us that opportunity to get into that zone, and um, it gives us an opportunity to get into that zone and to get into autophagy, right? So we're remember that word, autophagy, where your brain starts cleaning itself out and your body starts cleaning itself out, and that that you get some you clean those mitochondria. Remember we talked about the mitochondria as well. So that's what that's what happens when the body is when you start eating things properly, and you start getting yourself into those zones, and now all of a sudden it's like, man, I'm really starting to feel better. I'm really starting to function better. Like I'm actually like that's part of what's going on with the lady that I gave the praise about earlier. Is she's in that zone where man, she's really in that sweet spot when it comes to what she's doing with her diet and her exercise and her sleep, the overall stress levels. All those things together become huge for her. And that's what that same thing that all that stuff becomes huge for us as well when we get in those really good zones right there. And that's the idea is if we had enough evidence over and over and over again that omega-3 ratio was important for us, I bet you we would start to understand why it's important to get good omega-3s and not bad omega-3s. And that's what we're gonna break down on this other side right. Okay, everybody, we're back with Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. I'm Jason Clemmons. I'm glad you're listening to us. It's Tuesday, October 24th, And we're talking about nutrition, and we're talking about the importance of getting good nutrition, and we're talking about the difference in what it's like to have poor choices with your supplements and better choices with your supplements, right? So we're talking about omega-3 fatty acids. And omega-3 fatty acids, we're just gonna just bear with me for a second. We talked about an article on NIH. I could go through and find 50, 60, 70 articles. Like I could spend all night long talking about article after article after article about how important omega-3s are in so many different factors of our life, right? So let's just pretend that you heard so many of those articles, you tried it out for yourself, you listened to the show, and you just decided, man, I think Dr. Clemmons is right about that. Like he's kind of crazy the way he talks, but I think he's actually nailed this one. Like it is really important that the omega-3, I should take some fish oil, right? So I should take some fish oil. So what should I do? Where should I get the fish oil? Well, I think I'm just going to go. I think I'm going to run to Walmart and I'm going to get some fish oil. I'm just going to go. I don't even, I don't even want to be that excited. I'm just going to go to Walmart.com and I'm going to get some fish oil, right? All right. So I'm going to go to Walmart.com and I'm going to go get some Nature Made fish oil right there. And it's going to, man, I'm going to get it at Walmart because it's cheap, right? I'm going to get it. It's $9.48 for this bottle of fish oil that's got 134 pills in it. And so this is like, man, what else do I need? I'm just going to go get it, and I'm just going to take the fish oil, right? So if you go and you search that, and you go to Walmart.com and you just type in omega-3 fish oil, and the first one that pops up is Nature Made fish oil. And what it's going to tell you on the bottle is it's going to tell you that it's got 2,400 milligrams of fish oil. And you're like, wow, that's great, because Dr. C says I should have a baseline. I should take a baseline of 3,000 milligrams a day. So that's good. I'll just use some of this right here, some of this Nature Made fish oil, 2,400 milligrams right there. But wait, hang on just a second. In parentheses, it says 720 milligrams omega-3 per serving. And it's like, well, wait a minute. It's 2,400. It's 2,400 milligrams, but it's 720 milligrams of omega-3s. Well, that's all right. I'll just take a few more pills and then I'll be fine with that, right? But then when you turn it around and you look on the back, now you've got to look for the part of fish oil that really matters. And you got to look at it, and it says omega-3 EPA and DHA 600 milligrams. So it's like, hold up just a second. So wait a minute. What does that mean? That, because like I'm taking it and I'm thinking I'm getting 2,400 milligrams of fish oil, because, well, hold up. That's not what it says. It says 720 milligrams of omega-3s. And then when you break down the omega-3s, you want to look at the EPA to DHA ratio in your fish oil. And now it changes the game right there, right? Because here's why. Inside the fish oil is the EPA and the DHA. Now, let me say this first. If you're going to go get the number one thing, is get your ratio checked. Get your ratio checked. That is the most important thing you can do. Because if you'll do that first, and if you do that first, and you have a ratio that's under 3-to-1 or even 5-to-1, we'll let you get by with that. If you have a ratio that's 5-to-1 or less, I don't care what fish oil you've been taking. It doesn't make any difference, right? Because you've got your inflammation under control. Now you've dropped it. And you think, well, can I even do that? If I took fish oil, would it even decrease my 6:3 ratio? And the answer to that question is yes. I have an actual study that right here from a lady. We checked her we checked her ratios on August the 17th, and her ratios was 48 to 1. No, 41.8 to 1. It was 41 to 0.8 to 1 on August the 17th. And on October the 12th, it dropped to 2.3 to 1. And I don't know how many weeks that is. I think it's exactly 6 weeks, but let me check. August the 17th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In 8 weeks. 8 weeks from the very first time we checked it to the next time we checked it, she dropped her ratio from 41 to 1 to 2.3 to 1. Is that massive to her health? According to all the articles that we said, it's massive to her health. Did she decrease her chances of having heart disease by doing that right there? According to the articles we have, yes. Did she increase the chances of protecting her mitochondria by doing that right there? Yes. Did she increase her health and wellness just by taking her fish oil tablets on a daily basis for 8 weeks? And the answer was yes. She changed her inflammatory markers. She decreased her inflammation from 41 to 1 to 2.3 to 1 in an 8-week period of time. So you can move the needle on this thing if you do it properly, right? But I want to get back into that. So number one, whatever you're taking, if you're taking any fish oil and you say, "Hey, I like my fish oil. I think it's working just fine." Okay, we check your ratio, because I've had lots of people that do that. I have lots of people that take their own fish oil wherever they get it from, and it's fine. If you're taking Nature Made and you check your 6:3 ratio and your 6:3 ratio is the 3 to 1 or less, God bless you. Keep going. You're doing a great job with it. But most likely you're not going to, because here's the problem with that. Because number one, what we're looking for is we're looking for EPA to DHA in a 2 to 1 ratio. We want EPA. So when you look on the bottle, just look on the bottle of the fish oil. Go get your fish oil right now. If you're at home, just listening to the show, go get your fish oil and look at the back of it. And it's going to say EPA and DHA. Just look at it and see what it says on there, right? What we want is a 2 to 1 ratio. Now, are they all going to be that way? No. And is there debate on whether or not that's proper? Yes. I told you there's 7 billion people on the planet, and everybody has an opinion, right? So I'm not going to argue with people over that. I'm just simply saying, based on my study, it's a 2 to 1 ratio that we're looking at. We have this particular one in our office, and the reason that we have it in our office is because it's in a 2 to 1 ratio. Now, they just made it super size, like ultra strength, which is just silly, because what they did is they just made it 2 soft gels instead of 1 soft gel. But when you break it down, it's 1,360 EPA to it's 1,360 EPA to 670 DHA. So 680 would be exactly a 2 to 1 ratio. So it's just a bit over that 2 to 1 ratio right there. So this is what we're looking for. Now what we're looking for is we want to get the DHA, and that's for 2 pills. So when we look at that, that's for 2 pills. And what we want is we want the DHA in my office. We want the DHA to be 1,000. Okay, which would make the EPA 2,000. That's our target. That's our baseline target right there. Well, if 2 pills is 670, so divide that by 2, each pill is 335. And if you, now I got to get 1,000 of that. So I got to multiply that times 3 to get me there. And if I multiply that times 3, then that gets me to 1,005. And so that's how I know that it's, and then this is going to be the EPA on that part. I'll just do the math. So we're comparing apples to apples. It's 2,040. So it's just a little bit more than that 2-to-1 ratio right there, right? So, but that's really dang close. And that gives us a total of 3,000 milligrams of omega-3s a day. That's our baseline that we're looking for. Okay. But the person is going to go and they're going to say, well, I just got mine I got mine at Walmart, right? Well, it says the Nature Made says 2,400 milligrams, but what does that have to do with anything? And then it says 720 milligrams of omega-3s. So it's like 2,400 milligrams of fish oil, but so like what is the rest of the stuff, right? So then it tells us 720 milligrams of omega-3s, but then in the EPA and DHA ratio, it just tells us 600 milligrams. Well, it doesn't tell us what the ratio is. So let's just for a second say that it's in a 2-to-1 ratio. Just to be nice to Nature Made, let's just say it's in a 2-to-1 ratio, which means it's 400 EPA to 200 DHA, right? And that's for 2 pills. That's for 2 pills. The serving size on there is 2 soft gels, which means you got to divide that by 2, which means each pill has 100 milligrams of DHA if it's in a 2-to-1 ratio. So now, how many of those pills do you need to take on a daily basis to get you to 1,000? The question is, I got to take 10 of those to get to 1,000, right? That's not what people do. They don't go to Walmart, buy a bottle of Nature Made, and I'm not talking trash about Nature Made. I'm just simply saying that we're not comparing apples to apples when we do that, right? Yeah, well, Doc, I took fish oil. It didn't work for me. I'm like, what do you mean it didn't work for you? It's science that it works. Really? We've already determined that, right? It's science that it works. Your 6:3 ratio matters. It's inflammatory, right? So I went and got me a bottle of fish oil at because you sell that expensive stuff, right? And I can get, because this is $50. This is $50 for this bottle at our office, right? You can get it a little bit cheaper somewhere else if you want, but it's not much. We try to keep it pretty consistent, but it's $50 for a bottle in our office, and the Nature Made is $9.48. So why would I buy that expensive stuff that you have when I can go to Walmart and get my fish oil for $9.48? Hang on a second. What you're doing is now you are having to take 10 of those to get 1,000 milligrams of DHA, whereas you're only having to take 3 of these pills to get to 1,000 milligrams of DHA. And what it ends up being is, now, if you do the math and break it all down, it costs you 70 cents. It costs you 70 cents per serving to get the Nature Made stuff, and it costs you $1 per serving to get the good stuff. Okay, now we're a little closer now, right? We're not 5 times as much expensive. Now we're 30 cents a day difference in the total amount of difference between the good stuff and what they've got at Nature Made. So it's 30 cents a day times 30 days is $9, right? So now it's $9 a month different between the two. So the question I have for you, why would they give us that garbage about 2,400 milligrams and 700 of omega-3s, and what is that all about, right? And if you understood the importance, of the omega-6-3 ratio, you would think to yourself, man, if this is that important, why would I want, if it's only 30 cents a day difference, why would I want to go get the cheap stuff versus the good stuff, right? That's your choice. That's your choice if that's what you want to do. You can choose either way, but just understand you got to take, if you're going to get Nature Made from Walmart, and you're going to get the 2,400 milligram fish oil, that 720 milligrams of omega 3s, then you got to take 10 of those dudes a day. You got to take 10 of them to equal the same amount that you would get for 3 of these pills. So now you can just ask yourself, how many pills do you want to take a day? That's another question. It's like, well, it's worth 30 cents for me to take 3 pills instead of having to take 10 pills. That might be worth 30 cents all by itself right there. Right? So that's when we get into those, when you start taking your supplements and you start breaking that down and seeing exactly what the cost is, and you start comparing the apples to apples instead of comparing apples to oranges, what you find out is it's not that much difference. It's not that much difference when you're trying to do things in a healthy manner. People say the same thing about nutrition when we're talking about buying food, right? It's like my buying food. You know what's really interesting to me is how many people meet their out-of-pocket and their deductibles on their insurance. And it's like, unless you had some sort of catastrophe, why would you meet your deductible on your insurance? Well, something's wrong with you. And how much money did you spend on your deductible on your insurance? Well, for a family, everybody knows that's expensive, right? Because it costs some money to get the whole family covered, and your deductible could be $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,500 or $5,000 for a family. You have a $5,000 for a family deductible. Well, what if we saved you $5,000 a year by spending $9 a month on your fish oil? Like, what if you did? See, I don't think we always compare apples to apples when we're talking about nutrition and when we're talking about health. I think we don't take into consideration a lot of those other costs that go along with the expenses of being sick. I don't think we take into consideration the cost of all the other side things that go along with being sick, right? And how long does it? How many days a week do you miss in the year because you're sick from work versus how many days if you're not sick from work, right? There's a lot of things that add up when we're talking about the quality of things. And so I wanted to spend that time tonight making sure that you understand, if you're taking your own omega 3s and you want to know exactly how much you're supposed to take, look on the bottle. It should say EPA and DHA. Now, our little example that we did tonight, we're just assuming that there's a 2-to-1 ratio. It didn't tell us. It didn't tell us what the ratio was of the DHA. And the DHA is the part that's for your brain. That's the part it's really important. Is the EPA is the anti-inflammatory part. The DHA is the part for your brain. And that's where we set the baseline. We set the baseline on the brain side. We already know we're going to get an anti-inflammatory effect because we're going to balance out that arachidonic acid, and we're going to decrease all of those chemicals inside the body. We're going to decrease all those inflammatory chemicals inside the body whenever we're getting that anti-inflammatory effect, because we know we're going to have a 2-to-1 ratio anyway. So how are we going to set our dosage? We're going to set our dosage based on our brain. We want our brain to get the minimum amount that it needs to be functioning well. And in our life, in our office, that's 1,000 milligrams right there. So that's where we come up with the dosage there. And then by default, we end up with 2,000 milligrams on the other side. Now, that's the baseline. That's if you're not dealing with anything. I think the lady that went from 41 to 2.3, she was taking 5 of the pills a day. So she was taking the she was taking 1,600. She wasn't taking 1,000. She was taking 1,675 on that side, right? And so the 1360 was 3,400. And so I could do the math on that. 5 and 7 and 0. And so she was taking 5,000 milligrams, 5,075 milligrams a day for 8 weeks, and it dropped her 6:3 ratio. Now, it takes some time you got to stick with it now for a while. And if you stick with it for a while, now you will start to incorporate. It's like 3 months to 6 months where you actually start incorporating into the cell wall those omega-3s. So now that we've gotten them, the body takes a little time to process those omega-3s, but it's got plenty of them to process. And in the meantime, we're decreasing the inflammation part. That's the cool thing about it. That's the cool thing about the omega-3s is that there's multiple functions that's going on at the same time. That we're decreasing inflammation. We're helping brain build synapse. Those are the two easy things that happen super quick with that, right? So the EPA part of it is the anti-inflammatory part of it. That's happening now. Anti-inflammatory. It's decreasing your joint pain. It's decreasing your tissue pain. It's decreasing the inflammation in the lining of your blood vessels. It's decreasing the inflammation in the gut, right? And then the DHA is helping your brain. Then, as you go a little further down the line, now you start getting the incorporation of those fatty acids into this cell wall, which now gives the cell wall a little bit better fluidity, because remember that the 6s make it rigid and the 3s make it fluid. And so now we get a little bit more rigidity, and now we can protect those mitochondria. It's like, wow, now it's like getting down to the nitty gritty of things. And that's where we got in. Remember that cancer? Remember that cancer where we broke down Dr. Seyfried's book, Cancer as a Metabolic Process? What do all cancer cells have in common according to the book? According to the book, all cancer cells have in common a respiratory problem, that there's some sort of malfunction that's going on in the mitochondria. So there's some sort of mitochondrial damage that's happening right there inside the cell. Well, I wonder how it got to be damaged. I wonder if maybe the fact that we were way heavy on our omega-6s and we had this very cinder block wall and we weren't able to get our antioxidants inside there. And now every time our mitochondria makes a new ATP, that makes the free radical, and the free radical attacks the mitochondria and causes damage. And now the mitochondria has a tough time breathing. And then, here we go with our cancer cell. I'm not saying that's how cancer starts. I'm not a cancer oncologist. I'm just presenting a concept that could be related to that, right? And it's like, hey, maybe that's one of another advantage of making sure that I have a proper 6:3 ratio all the time, right? So those are some of the things that really do make a difference when you get into taking your supplements, and just especially taking your 6s and your 3s. You want to make sure that you're getting enough. So what are some of the things that are high? The seed oils, that's a big one you hear now on social media, because there's a bunch of gurus that are teaching stuff and they're like, get off the seed oils, right? The seed oils, like sunflower seeds and safflower seeds, like those, the corn oil, the vegetable oil, those are high omega-6s. That when you cook with that stuff, and when you have that stuff in your food, you're getting high omega-6s right there. That's where the things like peanut butter are high in omega-6s. And so you just have to watch your 6 intake, and you have to watch your 3 intake. to make sure that you get that balanced. And if you're going to eat peanut butter, then you have to increase your 3 intake. So those are the things that we could do to make ourselves a little bit healthier, right? Just just say, look, I need to make sure that I'm getting enough DHA in my diet. I need to make sure that I give my brain the best opportunity to work. I need to make sure that I'm supplying my body with the nutrients that it needs. And if I do that, I start to become healthier. So that's the end of the show. Thank you for listening to Live with Jason Clemmons, DC, and we will see you guys tomorrow night at 6.